So this is videotape number 4 of Theodore Klein's life. Last we left off, you were getting a job at B'nai Abraham.
Right. Okay. Now they had their it's a society from the old country, and these people had insurance. Some of them had insurance, and as part of their what do you call it? Part of their that I had to take care of. There was a bookkeeper. He took care of the books, the payroll, and I took care of the insurance. I had to file certain papers with the New York State Insurance Department. It was a very important job. I had it pretty well done.
How long did you stay with them?
Oh, many years. I was everywhere, and what happened was interrupted because I got sick.
Well, this is still before you graduated college, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
How long did it take you to get out of college?
Well, it took me from 1949 to 1957.
That was going to school at night?
Yeah.
Is there a reason you didn't want to go during the day and get it over with?
Well, I had to work. I felt obligation to work. I didn't want my siblings to take care of me. And I think it was right. Right? So I felt an obligation that I should work and contribute. And that's how I grew up, with that feeling.
So you still, when you were working for B'nai Abraham, you still hadn't graduated?
Oh, no. This was we talk about 1951, 1952.
How far away are you from graduating? When did you say you graduated?
57.
Wow, you were in school almost 10 years?
Yes. Yes. I was only taking 6 credits a semester. 6 credits a semester. Because I couldn't take anymore. It was too hard. But I had no social life. I had nothing. It took too much of my time. What happened was that so we used to go, my brother and I joined up a place called Shore Haven in the Bronx. It was a country club. And we used to go there on weekends. And it was a nice young crowd there with girls, boys. And we used to do there. And so while I was playing one day, I was playing handball, hard ball, with a little black ball, very hard ball. And this one guy took a shot, and he smashed it right into my left kidney. Well, that blew that thing up. Now, obviously, I had a tuberculosis, what do you call it in there, bug. Because it just doesn't, wasn't bothering me. But once it was hit like that, it was damaged, and the whole thing blew up. So I went to the urologist, and I went at work, I spoke to the judge. The judge was a nice guy.
Who's the judge?
Yeah, he was in charge of B'nai Abraham. He was their secretary, grand secretary of the society. So I told him what my problem was. So he says to me, he says, I'll make an appointment with you to see this Dr. Swick. He's a terrific urologist, but he's got bad manners. Was a friendly guy. So I went there anyhow. So he looked at me, he checked my eyes, he says, I'm putting you right in the hospital. So they put me into the hospital. In those days, to check for tuberculosis, it wasn't an easy test like today. They had to take samples of your urine and blood, whatever, and they would inject it into mice, into rabbits. And then they would see it took about 5-6 weeks, and then see what the reaction was. So sure enough, they finally came up that, yeah, it was tuberculosis.
How old were you at this point?
23. All right, that knocked me for a loop. Now so they operated. They operated that December, November or December of 53, and they took out the left kidney
Why did they take out the kidney?
because it was eaten up by the tuberculosis bacteria. It was gone. So and then another problem was, okay. So then they went over there. They took a so they did that, and I was recovering, and now they decided that they have to protect me because my life was in danger. So they had to, don't forget, there was very little they knew about how to fight this thing. So they were going to give me an epidermis, whatever. They were going to cut the scrotum so that the what do you call it can't come out and nothing can go in, to protect the what do you call it, right? So it reminds me of a story because this is like a miracle. He's a from guy, this Swift. He came to see me that night in the hospital. Now, I was a freebie. He was getting a penny from me. You know, I was like a welfare. So I told my sister, he says, we're going to do this and this. I says, you're going to do that? I might as well die. So he says to me, he was troubled with that. So he says, all right, we'll see. And he left. And sure enough, he called it off. He called it off. Then they made arrangements for me to go to Denver, to one of these sanatoriums. It was called the JCRC, Jewish Consumptive Relief Society. There were several of them there. One was the Jewish National Hospital, and then JCRC. So I went there, and I was there for 15 months. For the first 6 months, I was a just bed case.
They didn't let you out of bed?
No, not to go to the bathroom. That's about it.
But did you have symptoms? Were you unhealthy?
No, that's it. But they kept watching me, kept testing me, watching all the time, testing me. And they put me on the pills that they had at that time, which was a lifesaver. One of them was called erythromycin, not erythromycin. What are these mycins?
Amoxicillin?
No, a mycin. They discovered that one. In the end, they discovered it's probably from the Second World War, because a lot of refugees came out of Europe with TB. They got it in the camps. Now my cousin, had it, Arnold had it. They took out a lung from him. Had another boy there, Jacob, and they also took a lung out of him. But mine was in the kidney, didn't affect anybody. You know what I mean? There was no danger to anybody. So he went and anyhow, they came back and he said to me, we decided not to do that procedure. That was a lifesaver. So, you know what it reminds me of? That here's a guy, he came to see me, reminds me of the Purim story. Purim, and all of a sudden, Ahasuerus couldn't sleep that night. It was bothering him, and he says, what happened to those two guys that saved my life? So he said, oh, okay. So okay, do something for them. And that changed the whole story. And that reminds me of, because God works in mysterious ways.
But wasn't he the doctor who was treating you?
Who?
Wasn't he the doctor who was treating you?
Yeah, in New York, in Mount Sinai Hospital.
But so he just.
But I was gone. I went to Denver.
They were going to do this in Denver?
No, they were going to do the Mount Sinai Hospital. They decided to change it. And they told them to keep an eye on it there. So they sent me all the time for tests. They were very good over there, you know, took care of everybody. And so
you were in bed for
a few months at the beginning, and then it became ambulatory. When things looked normal, it became ambulatory, and then I helped in the office, and it was very nice. It was very, I had a good time there. I liked it.
for the people to play
I was
ball
I was
with,
in
or-
charge of the telephone for the hospital. You know, those days you plugged in the telephones. So I had good friends there. A lot of Goyim were there also. So that was that. And what was I? Okay, so now, so I was there for 15 months. I was there from 53 to 1954. I forgot when they let me come home. They discharged me. I used to go for follow-up, and everything was good, thank God, was good. So what happened then? Life wasn't too easy for me, and all these things, you know, weighed on me. But okay, and my brother came out to visit me while I was out there, and I saw Arnold a few times, but after, because he had a place there, he lived out there.
Right.
So him and so then I came back, and I enrolled back into in school, and then for the last year I went during the daytime. I did odd jobs later in the afternoon at night, but I was like a day student, so I finished within a year, 57, 57. I finished, and I got my degree, and then...
Well, let's, you know what we skipped that I want to go back to?
Yeah.
So let's talk about your social life during elementary and high school. I don't mean your social life, I mean
My
the
sex
girls.
life. My sex life.
Yeah.
We always had girls, but you know, we had.
So who was your first girlfriend, would you say?
The first date I ever had, I was 16 years old, and I went to an ORT. I went to an ORT organization. ORT means, you ever hear of ORT?
Yeah, Organization for Rehabilitation and Training.
Right. So I went to one of their what do you call it? And I met a very nice, pretty girl. She was about 15. I was 16. And I went to her, and I took her out once or twice. But I didn't have money. I couldn't socialize too much with her. And so that was my first date. And my sister would prep me what to do, how to act. You know? So that was that part. It's always good to have an older sister.
What was her name?
Gee, I don't know. I think it was Debbie. I don't know. Nice girl, lived on 74th Street.
It's funny how you remember where she lived, but not her
Yeah.
name.
Yeah. Then I met some girls in the hospital. They had a good time with her.
Oh, it was co-ed out there, the hospital?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. So I had some good times over there.
What kind of good times?
But you have to be careful. You have to be careful because they don't catch you. They can throw you out. So we stayed after the movie and we scooted around in the back of the theater. And then they would come in to check it out. And then we had to scramble and run the hell out. So people who could were screwing around. You know, I was a good-looking guy at that point, so I had not a problem. And so, yeah. So one time I met with my friend Saw. So he met a what do you call those things? What do you call a woman that's in heat all the time?
A nymphomaniac?
Yeah, nymphomaniac. Oh my, she was something, this girl. So we went to see her, and
You used to go to see her?
it was an afternoon. We got a ticket. We had an afternoon off. We got an office to give us an afternoon off. So we took the bus to her house.
This is when you were in the Coast Guard?
No, it was in a hospital.
Oh, so they let you out of the hospital?
Yeah, once I got to that point, they gave us passes once a month, couple of days off here, a day off there. They let you go into Denver. It was very nice. Denver was nice. One time we organized a trip, and we went into, if you ever go to Colorado, it's a nice state. We went to the Garden of the Gods, Cave of the Winds. We did all kinds of stuff over there. Pikes Peak. We did all kinds of stuff over there. It was a bunch of us. We went up there, we would throw snowballs in the middle of July on top of the mountain. It was fun. So that was good.
But back to the early days. You remember your first kiss?
My first kiss? Yeah, I think I kissed that girl.
Or the one you went out with on that first date?
Yeah. I kissed her. I don't know. Why wouldn't I have not kissed her? Wasn't. Yeah.
This was high school already. Did you date a lot in
No,
high school?
high school I was a loser. I didn't do too well in high school.
Didn't do well in high school. Sounds like you did well in middle school.
But I met girls that were out here. That was in my class in high school.
Oh, you met girls in Florida? You met them?
Yeah. I met two ladies. One in New York and one over here. That I met them, and
You recognized them?
Yeah, they recognized me. We were in the same. What do you call it? Yearbook.
Ah.
Our graduation yearbook. She died. One of them died last year.
Who would you say was your first serious girlfriend?
No, I wasn't really serious about anybody. The only one I really liked was your mother.
Really?
Yeah, that was that I really liked.
You didn't have a serious girlfriend that whole way? You
No.
just played around?
Yeah, I just played around.
Did you play around a lot, would you
Yeah, I
say?
played around. When I met her, I had 4 girl ladies on the side.
Did you?
I didn't even bother with them. Don't tell them, the kids. They shouldn't hear that. They're going to think badly of their grandpa.
No, I think they'll think it's great.
Huh?
I think they'll think it's great because it shows a different side of you. So you played around a lot. You told me a story once about you were making out with some Puerto Rican girl.
Yeah, but Puerto Ricans, I did very well with Puerto Rican. With them, sex is like shaking hands. Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. Blacks are also like that. You shake hands, doesn't mean anything. They don't have hang-ups.
Right.
Jewish girls have hang-ups.
All kinds of hang-ups, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the difference. So, yes, I got along very well with them. So, what else we were talking? So I did okay. Yeah, so I had a crazy incident on one of my jobs. And I was in the housing authority already. Should I progress to that?
Yeah, you can jump. We'll jump back.
Yeah. So what happened was, I'm doing a site audit. A site audit means they took over these houses in Harlem. It was on 35th Street. They took over that, and they were gonna take them all, knock out all the buildings as a site, and then build up the project. Okay? So now I'm doing an order. They sent me out to do an order. One of the orders to do is you have to go into these apartments that they locked up to make sure no squatters are in there and using electricity. So I got this maintenance guy. I said, all right, let's go into this building. We go in there, and it's a railroad flat. It's like a long hall. So we went into this one. He opens the door in this one apartment. We go in. It's got the flashlight. And I was walking in, and I have my pad, and I'm not paying too much attention. I'm okay. And all of a sudden, he goes, animal! And I see eyes come shooting at me. Man, it comes right at me, hits me in the leg and jumps out. I threw up the thing. I got the shock. I got so scared. Scared the shit out of it. What happened was a cat was stuck in that apartment.
Oh, wow.
You know? And that cat came charging out there. That was like a lion. Who the hell knows what the hell was it? But that was scary. That was one of the scary, but that was my sight experience. So I said to myself, close it down when I go into this crap.
Yeah, there's nobody here.
Who wants to gives a shit if they use the electricity.
So you were back you just got out of the sanitarium.
Yeah, so I was at it area, and I then went
So you
and got my
finished
degree,
college.
and I worked for the society. They let me work for them.
Oh, they came back? You came back to work for
they
them?
let me work there part-time, and I did that, and then I went and I graduated, and then I put in for a job. I put in for a job for New York State. I went to the junior accountant job. So I got a job with this company. It wasn't Bronsky. Bronsky I got later on with Ruben Camille. He got me that job. I worked there for this company. It was him, Reisman. He, this young guy, and me. I was the junior. So we worked over there, and we had to work so hard. Gee, unbelievable. He had these crappy little jobs. I worked in the wintertime in the back of a drugstore. It was cold as hell in our overcoats. And we worked on the top of boxes. So anyhow.
Doing accounting?
Yeah.
You didn't have an
Did the
office?
books. No. This was the back of a drugstore. It was like a drugstore. Then he had a piano he had a piano place on 2nd Avenue. Worked in the basement. You can't even see. The light was so terrible. So I had to do it. Then we went to Trenton, New Jersey, another winter. And we had to finish the audit in one day. And we didn't finish till midnight. And the next day expected me to be in Brooklyn 9 a.m. So I was getting sick. So I said, well, this is not good for me. And I'm not getting anywhere. I was getting $45 a week. So I said, let me see. I went up to New York State, and I applied for a job for an accounting firm. And all of a sudden I got a phone call. He says, the New York City Housing Authority is looking for a junior accountant. They're paying $85 a month. I said, $85 a month? I'm getting $45. So, no, a week. So I says, oh wow. So I went up, and sure enough, they signed me up. My credentials were good, and they sent me. And where did they send me for the job? Right, the bus was on my 1 block up from me. I went right to the project, Soundview in the Bronx. It took me 15 minutes to get there, 15 minutes to get home. I was home by 5:15 every day. So they trapped me, and instead of going out into the field and making money, it was so easy. You know, it was good. My job was to do income reviews. Every year the tenants had to submit what their income was. And then I had to review that, and based on that, plus giving them some allowances, I had to set up what their rent will be for the year. So I did that. I knocked it off, the whole thing. Everything was way behind. I knocked it off in no time. The whole thing. I had a good time. I enjoyed that project. That's why I met Herbie Mallon. And so we did that. So I did that. So I stayed with them, and then I took a test, and then they called me downtown to go to the audit section. So they liked me in the audit section because they had audited me, and they knew that I knew my stuff. So I had a very cute incident happen like that. My boss name was Gold. So I finished an audit, and he's out there with me, and we're going over the audit with the manager, and the phone rings. It's one of the guys, his name is John LaGreca, John the Greek. He is doing an audit somewhere in Harlem, and he's having a big fight with the manager. He's questioning one of the incomes that they set up. So the Gold turns to me and he says, "Yeah, you're the expert on income. That was your job, income review. You know, I knew the law for the state, for the city, and the federal, because we did all kinds of projects." So he says, so he turns to me, he says, "Are you the expert?" He says, "This is the situation. What do you think?" So I says to him, I says, "Irving," I said, "do you want to know the truth?" He says, "What?" I says, "Take another folder." You don't understand. What did you miss? We took out 40, 50 folders to review. This one was a ball buster.
Oh.
It was a hard situation. So what are you gonna kill yourself over this? The guy said to rent the hell with it. Who cares? You know, I just
Pick another folder.
Yeah, pick another folder. What do you got? Then you have your quota. He laughed. Never forgot that. Don't take another folder. You're gonna kill yourself.
Leave that one alone, yeah.
You right? It didn't matter. It didn't make that much of a difference.
No.
So anyhow, so that was that.
Where were you living? When did you get your own apartment, or did you?
I never got till I moved out. But I got married. I got my own apartment with your mother. I moved in with your mother.
Oh, she had an apartment and you moved into her apartment?
Yeah, she had an apartment right across the street from Taft High School, where I met her.
So what did you do for, so how many years were you at the Housing Authority before you met her?
How long I was with Housing Authority? I started in 1958. In 1961, I went downtown, but I met her like in 1960 in Taft High School.
Right.
So we were dating together, we went out together. So we were there for a year or two, and in 62 we got married. And Carol was born in 63.
So, what year did you start the Housing Authority? 57. So what year did you
I
start?
started in the Housing Authority in 1958, February 1958. I was a provisional, because I had to take a civil service test to become civil service. So I took a test, but I had to wait a year or so until they set up the list, and then they made me pretty soon after that, and then I became then I passed. Then I took an accountant test, like in 61, 62, and I passed that. So then they promoted me. So I went down to the audit. I was in the audit section, which I loved. It was my best job, because I was my own boss. I was in the field. I worked one day, sat around for 3 days, whatever the hell I wanted. Never had no boss over me. I called in the morning, I'm in, and that was it. I did what I wanted to do. Nobody was telling me what I should do today, what I should do tomorrow. I did everything I had to do, but at my pace. You know, usually you have a boss. He says, "Oh, what are you up to now?" You know what I mean? So
it was the exact opposite of the other accounting job you had.
Oh, the other one was he had money. It was his business, so he loses money on me if I don't produce and knock myself out. And that was all he was interested in.
So you had one accounting job before you went to the Housing Authority.
But then I got a job. We had a friend, Mama and I. His name was Reuben Camille for my neighborhood. Reuben Camille is the one that I went with to go to Taft High School, where he went socials dancing, and I went. I took the other. So Reuben met a girl in between, and he married her. And he died very young. I don't know what happened to him. Then he was a lot of pressure. He was very Zionist, and he moved to Israel. And he couldn't take it there. I guess he had trouble with the language, whatever. And he moved back to the States. And then he must have gotten sick because he didn't last long. He died. He was a young guy. He must have been in his 30s.
In his 30s? Wow.
Yeah. And I had another friend, a friend of his, who also died in his 30s. That boy had rheumatic fever. He also came to us to Taft High School. And he had trouble breathing. He had rheumatic fever. And he didn't last also. He died within a year. Also in his 30s.
What kind of funny dating stories do you have?
Funny dating stories?
Any funny? So when did the Coast Guard come in here? That was before?
No, I was in the Coast Guard Reserve.
When did you join
This was
up?
way behind now. This was during the Korean War, 1950 to 1954. I was here for 3 years in the reserve. The only trouble was...
Were you drafted?
No, I volunteered. My brother said to me, volunteer, what do you want to draft? You end up in Korea. So I volunteered, and I went in, and what happened with me is that I came in, I went in December 1950. The war broke out in September. I'm 21 I'm 21 the next month, January. Board number one guy to go, right? 21, finished. But I went and so I went up there with my brother to the 80 Lafayette Street, the Coast Guard recruiting center, and I said, I'd like to join the Coast Guard. She goes, well, we're starting a new reserve unit right after the New Year. Why don't you come back like January 5th? And we're starting a new unit. So sure enough, January rolls around, boom, I went down there, and I was one of the first ones to sign up. There were like 3 or 4 of us. We started the unit, and we met in the armory in Brooklyn. That's where we trained, big armory. And but twice a year we went away for 2 weeks. We went out on a ship. We went out to the base. We did 2 weeks kind of stuff.
What were you doing in the armory? What kind of training?
We did drilling. We did drilling. We were shooting pistols.
Oh, they have a shooting range in there.
Yeah, we were shooting pistols. We did drilling. We did all kinds of stuff. Different things. We learned nomenclature, which is parts of boats, ships. You know how to make knots, different type of knots for different occasions. Parts of the boat, the davit and different things.
So you were in the Coast Guard, but you didn't really go out on boats very much.
Well, when I went away for the 2 weeks, yes. Now I used to pull, when I went away, so they sent me to the Coast Guard base in Staten Island. No, Ellis Island was the Coast Guard base. I went there, and then they put me on a 16-footer. And I went out with one of the guys, one of the regulars. And he and I went, and we used to go up the Arthur Kill, not road.
Arthur Kill.
Yeah, Arthur Kill. We used to go up between New Jersey and Staten Island.
Mm-hmm.
And then he used to know where the girls were, so he used to pull into the port. They went to the bar, and He met 3 girls. And then we went back to the boat.
Did you ever actually do anything substantive?
No. No, I didn't. You know, these guys, they did this because they were stationed there. So they were there all the time.
Right.
I'm there for 2 weeks and I'm gone.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the only time I went there. One time they took us to Queens, the Klein Edison plant. In the Klein Edison plant, we had to learn firefighting. It was very interesting. I put on the outfit and went into the fire with these outfits and put out the fires in these places. Very interesting. So we learned firefighting. We always did something. One of the scariest moments for me was we were coming across. We were coming from New York, going to Ellis Island. Okay, going in the bay. This is the bay. We're going across.
Coming from where in New York?
I don't know where we were that day, where they took us for some learning. And then they took us, and I went into the, we were all standing on top of the deck, and we all had our, what do you call it, on the
life
vest, life jackets, yeah. We're standing on top of it, you couldn't see crap. You couldn't see 1 foot in front of you. And we were going into the bay, and we couldn't see anything. And we didn't have radar on our boat. So we didn't know what the hell is going on. All of a sudden, we're in the middle of the bay, and all of a sudden we hear, boo, boo. Shit. All of a sudden we hear, woo, woo.
That's loud though.
Another few minutes.
The ones on the
Another
water
few
are
minutes,
loud.
a few minutes, woo, woo. And this kept going and going, and the noise is getting closer and closer to us. There's another boat coming. Now they're gonna hit us, or we hit them. Man, you're gonna die out there. And the ocean is freezing in that water, right? And we had no, we didn't know where the heck this thing is. And I'm standing on top of the deck, and we were all looking, trying to see what the hell do we see? Don't see nothing. Zilch. The only thing we had was they had radar.
Oh, the other boat had radar.
Yeah. But they were getting, all of a sudden, was starting to panic, the other boat. And they go, woo, woo. You know, the signal, when you do 4 times, that's danger, real danger. And they kept going 4 times. And everybody was scared shit. I was standing on top of the boat. It was very frightening. You know, we're standing on the boat, what the hell are we gonna do? If this boat hits us, who knows what happens? Anyhow, we finally, all of a sudden, the last minute, this thing was blasting away. All of a sudden, the last minute, this big structure comes up right in front of us. It's like Moby Dick.
Oh shit.
Right in front of our God, they're gonna get smashed us. Right up in front of us. This big structure. And then all of a sudden you see it go, swerve away. You know, swerved away from us.
Wow.
Oh man, was that scary. Oh, you know, you think nothing is, you know, things happen. Bad things happen. It happened to my brother. You know, he wasn't in the quote war, but my brother was fighting. He was in Hoboken during the Second World War. Hoboken is in New Jersey, and he was stationed on the pier, and they had a big fire on the Hoboken pier, and he had to go up with his buddies, and they were fighting the fire on the roof of the pier. And he went up there and he started to slip. And he started to slide, and he got nothing to hold on to. He says, God saved him. The guy he was with put his hand out and grabbed him by the coat.
Wow.
And saved him. So you know, You don't know.
Didn't you? I remember you told a story about him with part of his class went.
Yes. And what happened was is that he finished boot camp. It's called boot camp. The first 13 weeks of training is called boot camp. And he finished in Manhattan Beach, was the Coast Guard boot camp. And he came home that Shabbos with all the big gear and a big gear with all this stuff in this big Navy bag and his other bag, and he came home to spend Shabbos with us because he's going out. Now, what happened was is that there's a new ship they had, the Coast Guard, it was called the SS Hamilton, a cutter, Coast Guard cutter, and they needed it to be, get enough men on the boat. So his class just graduated boot camp, so they decided to take half of the class and put it on that, and the other half they were going to send to New Orleans. So he came home, he didn't know what until he went back, and then suddenly he was told to go to New Orleans. But that boat went out. And it was an a maiden voyage, and it was hit by a German sub. And all the guys died on the boat.
Wow.
So it's so luck. You don't know. When you're in danger, anything can happen.
What did you do about food when you were in the Coast Guard?
Oh, you eat. You eat. I try not to eat bacon and all that shit.
You gotta eat. You gotta eat.
You eat. Oh, they were all in the same boat. Some guys didn't eat meat. They ate other crap. They gave you so much food. We had so much food. Cereals. For lunch, we used to have 5, 6 ice creams.
So it wasn't real suffering.
No, not in America, no. The American soldiers were well fed. We had so much food.
So you just ate whatever you...
Whatever I could eat, and I ate. And that's all.
When you were you strictly kosher during the other years, like when you weren't in the Coast Guard?
Well, I told you we grew up with our Goyish friends,
Right.
Jewish friends, but they were, so we used to go wherever they ate. We used to go Chinese restaurant.
Yeah, that's what it was, the Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
So when did you switch back, when you got married?
Oh yeah. Once we got married, I didn't want a house that would be kosher. I wanted the children to be raised like that. I mean, I knew the value. It's just that I was a single guy, and I strayed. Had no, quote, reason to, what I mean?
Yeah, I know it well.
Yeah. So that's what it was. My brother and I used to go out Sunday afternoon with all the guys, and used to do whatever we had to do.
So, what else did we miss in these years here?
Well, we got to the point where we were.
Oh yeah, I asked you the question. Do you have any funny dates you remember?
Funny dates?
Yeah, where you went out on dates that just turned chaotic, or just were funny stories, or...
No, the only problem was that your mother always does the story with my car breaking down.
So yeah, when did you get this car?
Oh, this is our first car we bought. So my brother didn't drive yet. I drove.
Did your brother finish college? Did he go to college?
No. He never finished high school. Later on, he took a equivalency test.
Why didn't he finish high school?
He was drafted into the army. He was drafted. It was a war. They grabbed everybody. You hit 18. My brother hit 18, 1943. He was 18. He was born in 25. Boom. By September 1st, he was in. July was his birthday. September 1st, he was in.
So he didn't finish college at all.
No, he never went to college. So, and he wasn't into students. He didn't have the zestfleisch. He always liked to go out with girls. So that was good. So anyhow, he liked to, he always had a lot of girlfriends. Oh yeah, he was rather a lover, I would say, yeah. He was very forward with women.
Well, you both got married very late.
Yeah, well, he got married much later than I did. He was very, what do you call it, very selective.
He used to play around a lot, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah, he always had girlfriends. Always had 2, 3 girlfriends, 4 girlfriends. He always had a lot of girlfriends. Yeah, he was so
And he was working for the post office?
he started to work for after came back from the military, so he got a job in the post office, and he made a very big mistake. He worked in the post office, and he had 28 years in. He needed 2 more years, and he would have 30 years. He would have a pension. Anyhow, they decided to get married, and he felt terrible that he's not bringing too much into this marriage, right? So he decided to take all the pension money, took it out and put it into their pot. Big mistake. And then at the end they lived like very little income coming in. They would have had a nice pension from the post office and a nice another 2 years. But if you could just hold out, or at least leave it in, and wait 2 years and then take it out, or whatever. You know, I don't know. It was a mistake, big mistake. I wasn't aware that he did that. Yeah, until after he did it.
Was it his choice, or
Yeah, it was his choice.
was she pressuring him to do it?
Who knows? I don't know their life. You know what I mean? Of course, she always wanted to have a husband with, fancy. But fancy is not always the answer.
What about Eileen?
Eileen, well, Eileen was all right, and then her husband died.
Well, but let's go back much earlier. Let's go. So Eileen was working as a teenager. She didn't go to school, right? She didn't finish school.
Well, not in America.
So where was she working?
She always had a job she was a job for years. She was used to sew ties. She sewed ties, and she did other seamstress work, and she then they went into business. My brother-in-law had his 2 brother-in-laws, and they took him into the business, but they never let him be a partner.
When did they get married?
1952.
1952. So you were.
Or 51.
How old were you at?
21.
You were 21, and she would have been close to 30, right?
Who?
Eileen.
Was she that old? She was 6.5 years older than
So
I.
she would have been 27, 28.
Yeah, she was 27.
How did they meet?
I think they met on an introduction. I think they were introduced.
So he got invited to be part of the business by his brothers, 2 brothers-in-law?
Yeah, 3. There were 3 other brother-in-laws. So he became, but he wasn't a partner. They let him come into the business, but he never was a partner. You See, that's another thing they screwed my sister up. And he worked very hard for them, that business. And now, you know, these people were a little bit sneaky. So I'm not sure whether they just played the game so my sister wouldn't know, so she wouldn't have what do you call on them to share the money with her. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they just, I'm not sure. My sister was very naive, and she wasn't a fighter, and she didn't want to, what do you call it? She just wanted to get away from them, because she couldn't stand them.
Was she working while he was in the store?
No, she used to be one of the ones who had to go into the store. She had to work in the store.
So she was working in the store with him.
Yeah,
How big was the store that it was feeding so many mouths?
yeah, it was a nice little store in Bayonne, New Jersey, in the Geisha neighborhood, and they made enough money for 4 families. They were able to buy houses and do different things.
But when Bumi died, they didn't give her a share.
No, that's when all of a sudden there was a game. They'll let her come and work, and they'll give her a salary. Or something like that.
So she had no savings at all.
No, it was very difficult for her. Anyhow, it was a tough, they had a lot of fights all the time. They used to fight, tremendous amount of fighting. Only thing is Phyllis got out of it because she got married in 52, 51, 52. And
Phyllis got married.
no, I'm sorry. No. My sister got married. Phyllis was born like in 53. And then 57, Rhoda was born.
So how do you say they got out of it? What do you mean?
How did they get out of it?
That was just what you were saying.
No, I guess they, she went into work, so they gave her whatever. You know what I mean? But then she only had the Rhoda in the house after a while, because Phyllis was already married, so it was only Rhoda. And Rhoda got a job, was making a decent living. She worked for New York State in the hospital system, so she got.
But this is all much later. You're talking about the 70s now.
Yes.
So what,
Well, until then, he worked for these people, and they had money coming in.
so yeah, he worked for them for many years.
Yeah, right. But at the end, they
didn't give her anything.
right. That's it. They didn't give her anything. It was like cut out.
Right. She wasn't. It was his sisters, right?
Yeah.
Bumi's sisters, and it was their. It was the brothers-in-law's businesses.
Right. That's exactly right. And they didn't like my sister, because she was like an outsider.
Right.
You know. Now these are all greeners. You have to understand something. These were all concentration camp, all of them. There's a certain mentality like that. Hard to describe, but that's what it is.
You mentioned something before about what did they fight about? We're saying.
What did they fight about? Let's put it this way, what didn't they fight about? It was just nasty fights, terrible fights. My sister used to cry. He hit her a few times. wasn't. Yeah, she took a big psychological beating in that whole group. That's what it was. She could have been much better person.
Well, may make choices, right? And
We all make choices.
in hindsight is 2020. You know, you might make a different choice if you did something. You know,
Yeah.
if I knew what I knew now, I would have made different choices.
Yeah.
If she knew what she knew now, she would have made different choices.
Right.
Alex, if he knew now, not now, but a year ago, what he might have made different choices.
Yep. And we all suffer with these things because, you know, sometimes you have options, but then sometimes the options are too late and it's finished. You screwed up.
If you had to make a choice over again, what would it be?
A choice, if I made a choice over again, what would it be?
Regret's a bad thing because everything is 2020 when you look back. But I'm just curious as to what you would have done differently now.
Well, one of the things probably I would have done differently is I would have stayed in the accounting field, out in the field, work for a CPA firm. You know, we pick up some clients and be out there.
Just because of the money?
Rather than civil service.
Just because you would have made a lot more money.
Much more money, yeah. See, there was a time where outside people made much more money than civil servants. Much more. But then the thing changed. Right now, these guys are paying so much for civil servants. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And people are suffering for work outside.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, sometimes things shift, turn around. And what else can we cover?
What was Bobby doing during all of this?
Bobby was, she ended up, 1995, she ended up in a home.
No. I mean during the 50s and 60s.
Oh, during the 50s and the 60s, she felt sorry with my sister, you know, and she tried to help her in any way she could. And she had two boys in their home, so she was
Oh, because Alex lived at home too.
Yeah, right, yeah. They didn't get married until I got married.
Right, so she wasn't alone there.
No, she wasn't.
She was still working, cleaning houses or what?
Oh, no. That was all passe.
So you were supporting her?
Yeah, we chipped in. I used to put money down every week. I got my pay. I used to pay her. Yeah, thank God. She was all right. And she got a veteran's pension. Because my father was a veteran.
Oh, so she got a pension.
She got a little pension, and then she got Social Security. So she had two little pensions. Okay? And then I used to help her. My brother used to shop for her. So we used to spend the money, and she didn't have to go spend the money.
All right, well, let's end this tape here because it's going to run out in a minute anyhow.
Yeah. Do we need anything